I open at the close.
You're just gonna be on about that. Now you have the new question, which is, what's the dough?
I think it's his mom because his dad and him are the male deer.
I hate to break it to you, but his mom's dead.
I hate to break it to you, but there's magic everywhere.
Have you ever seen a dead person's Patronus?
No. Is that an issue?
Yeah, because you've never seen a dead person's Patronus.
Someone has to go first. So I don't
It's the
believe
first
it.
dead person's Patronus that's ever been cast.
Because it's like, oh, the eyelashes of the doe, and it's like so nice and cute. And that just makes sense that it would be like the female and the male deer.
All right.
Especially if Lupin and Tonks' Patronus is matched now.
All right, well, we'll talk about that.
Maybe once you get married, your Patronuses become the same.
Ooh. But that's not really the same. Would they become the male and female versions of each other?
Yeah.
So Tonks is the she-wolf?
A she-wolf? I guess so.
All right, well, we'll save that for later. But welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lizzie.
And this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
Second time.
I'll get that by the end of this. And then when we get that, we'll start on First Time Readers again with Fellowship of the First Time Readers. So it's not really any good. Bathilda's Secret.
Ugh.
Isn't that a crazy chapter?
This is like the most wild chapter so far, I
right?
think.
It's one of the most disturbing. It's like very horror-ish.
Yeah. I literally had to step away for a moment. I like closed the book. I was outside. I was like, I need to just take a moment and like touch grass, like ground myself and come back. This snake sticking out of her neck. Like, how did it get in her?
Right?
Like, ew. And then when did she die? What's the timeline? I just needed a minute to
It is a gross part. And Hermione mentions that like, oh, Dumbledore said we'd see magic we've never seen before, but it still does not prepare you for that. That is the sickest, weirdest stuff I've ever seen.
I was like, this is not Bathilda from the moment that she arrived. And I was like, why are you guys following her into the house? Like, that was so dumb. I hated that. It was pretty spooky too. Like the lady just standing in the middle of the street, her cloak on in the dark.
It's so creepy.
It's like, uh-oh.
This is like legitimately like a horror chapter. It is the one I mean, not the one, but there's like a few really creepy ones. But this is the chapter that it takes a gross turn. Yeah. I'm sure it was probably pretty nasty writing this one.
Yeah. And it's nice and like slow and suspenseful too, which I think is like more the horror.
Yeah, it's agony
situation. But I was like, it was crazy. I read this morning and then I just thought about it like all day. I was like scrambling eggs and I was like, snake in a person. How did they think it was her? That was my whole internal monologue all day. It was like this chapter. It was wild.
Yeah. Well, they explained it, but it's like, how did they still not realize this? I guess she was disguised well enough.
She didn't have like the aura of the Horcrux though.
Yeah, I know.
Which is what I was saying because like that's a snake.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like when did she die? Is she dead?
I think one time a few podcasts ago, or maybe off podcast or something, we were talking about what they're going to see in Godric's Hollow, and I think you said Nagini is going to show up.
Really?
And that made me laugh.
That's
and
awesome.
Internally, I laughed.
Internally, I chuckled.
I think you said something like that. I don't know. I got to find it.
That's so funny.
But this chapter does open up and it talks about the monument to the Potters. What do you think about the whole, not the whole Bathilda Backshot, but Godric's Hollow, the monument, like everything they saw there before we get to the Bathilda Backshot?
Like in the town and like the graveyard? I think it was like unexpected to me. I expected the house to be there in shambles with the hole in the wall. Like I called that too. And then I look at him just eating up the breeze. But yeah, because outside of Hogwarts, I feel like we still don't interact with that many people that hold Harry Potter in such high esteem. That happens in the beginning of the book a lot.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened in a long time. So then for there to be like a statue and all these little notes of like, you can do it, like go destroy Voldemort. I just love that. I thought that was really cool, and that was good for Harry to see that too.
Yeah.
He needed that.
Yeah, it is cool to see. Like, not that he's memorialized it, that he has people's support from like past few years. That's really cool. But yeah, it's like a sharp contrast from that, and then you get into this really creepy lady who's kind of like leading them on. The whole thing was just gross.
I didn't think it was like gross.
Really?
Yeah. It's just creepy.
I mean, if you're a snake inhabiting the skin of someone else,
yeah,
that's pretty gross.
I want to see this in the movie so badly.
The movie does a decent job of portraying it, but it's like it's a little different. I mean, it still has the creepiness value to it, but yeah, it's weird. And then through this whole thing, Harry's like having all these visions and stuff like that. And then right before this, he's looking at the book, and then it says, the dust vanished from the photograph, and he saw at once that half a dozen were missing from the largest and most ornate frames. He wondered whether Bathilda or somebody else had removed them. Then the sight of the photograph near the back of the collection caught his eye, and he snatched it up. It was a golden-haired, merry-faced thief, the young man who had perched on Grigorovich's windowsill, smiling lazily up at Harry out of the silver frame. And it came to Harry instantly where they had seen the boy before in the life and lives of Albus Dumbledore, arm in arm with the teenage Dumbledore. And that must be where all the photographs were in Rita's book. Who's this person?
Grindelwald.
You're positive it's Grindelwald?
Well, that's what they say later.
Okay, in the next chapter. I was going to say, I don't know if you had gotten there yet.
I don't think I even guessed him.
Really?
Yeah. Because I went through, I said
Zeno?
Phileas, Dumbledore.
Zeno was a great guess, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Malfoys, you said?
That could make sense. Yeah, the Malfoys. I just don't think like Grindelwald was on my radar that much.
Yeah, agreed.
And honestly, like, he is now, but he kind of just appeared. Like, I really did not pay attention to that at all. I was totally underrating the whole like duel thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Didn't get that prediction.
It's all right. You got plenty more, so.
So I'm assuming, well, Grindelwald is dead. So, well, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Just a little bit. It's all right. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Here we have another line. And his scream was Harry's scream. His pain was Harry's pain. That it could happen here, where it had happened before, here within the sight of the house, where he had come so close to knowing what was to die. The pain was so terrible, ripped from his body. But if he had no body, why did his head hurt so badly? If he was dead, how could he feel so unbearably? Didn't pain cease with death? Didn't it go? He forced the door open, cast aside the chair and boxes hastily, piled against it with one lazy wave of his wand. And there she stood, the child in her arms. At the sight of him, she dropped her son into the crib behind her and threw her arms wide as if this would help. As if in shielding him from sight, she hoped to be chosen instead. Not Harry, please not Harry. Stand aside, you silly girl, stand aside now. Not Harry, please, no, take me, kill me. This is my last warning. Not Harry, please, have mercy, not Harry, please, I'll do anything. Stand aside, girl. He could have forced her away from the crib, but it seemed more prudent to finish them all. Did this give you like any extra insight into what was happening with the Potters? Why he was trying to kill the Potters? What was going on that night?
I feel like no, but I'm also dumb. So it's like more of the story. And then also Voldemort's giving Lily second chances, which is really strange.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like they're related or something.
That's like a phenomenal question that you come up with, because this is something that, you know, befuddles fans. Why was good word, right?
Word.
Coming up with all sorts, the word of the day. Why was Voldemort giving Lily any kind of second chance? Doesn't really seem within his character. Why wouldn't he just go in there, guns a-blazing, kill her, and then kill Harry?
I'm thinking there's like either they're related
Ooh.
he likes her, or Voldemort's like doing this on
Wait,
somebody
he likes her as in
else's.
Voldemort likes her?
Yeah.
Voldemort has a crush on Lily Potter?
Yeah.
That's the whole reason he wanted to kill Harry?
I don't know why he wants to kill Harry.
Is Harry
That
the
was
child of
my
Voldemort
third-
rather than James Potter?
Whoa. I hope not. That would be gnarly. I don't think the love thing would have worked then. The love protection. But my other idea was like maybe Voldemort's not doing this out of his own free will, and like maybe he's taking an order to kill Harry. Cause like I think if it was just Voldemort, he would
Voldemort
just like
be taking
kill.
orders?
I don't know, John. I don't know what's happening here. I'm confused. There's a lot happening. I don't know. I have no answer to your question.
Okay, it's okay. Sorry for asking. Won't ask again.
Yeah, don't ask me any questions. It's not allowed. I will say though, the writing in this chapter, this is like the greatest transition in like literary history. I feel like the way it just goes from like Harry in Bathilda's house to Voldemort in wherever he is, and then Voldemort in Bathilda's house, and then he's like jumping out the window, and then he's back into Harry's mind,
great,
and then Harry's back in the tent. I was like, whoa, we are like soaring through this, and it's making like perfect sense. Yeah, I was like, that's crazy.
That's the impressive thing in this chapter, is that it's so many different perspectives, you go in so many different places, but the whole thing is still very coherent.
Yeah,
it's a phenomenally written chapter. It's like one of the best, I think. I would probably place this one within like the top 5 of just chapters that I think are brilliantly written. It's so good. This one and the last one, I love the last one so much, just for sadness, and this one for like creepiness and for going in and out of perspectives all over the place.
I hate how she's like trying to hide upstairs and like trap herself in there, and then he's just coming inevitably. That was really freaky.
It'd be interesting when if you ever reread the series for the third time and you reread this chapter, knowing what you know at the moment, like rereading it is interesting, of how everything that she's doing is to get Harry isolated and alone so that she can start speaking in parcel tongue.
Bathilda?
Yeah. Like the whole thing is really eerie and creepy. Like the movie does a pretty good portrayal of it, of how she like beckons Harry upstairs. She's like pointing upstairs so that she can leave Hermione and then go. But like the whole thing, like even the movie portrays it pretty well, because it's like there's buckets of like poop and like, like rotting corpse there. It's gross. Ew. The whole thing is nasty.
I hate that.
Yeah. Did you expect that they were gonna escape from this? I mean, this can't be the end of the book, but what did you expect when you were reading this chapter?
I was like expecting Harry to get the snake to like bite the Horcrux somehow. That would have been awesome. And he was gonna like position it correctly.
A Horcrux killing a Horcrux?
Because Nagini's a basilisk, right?
Yeah.
So then
No, Nagini's not a basilisk, sorry.
So I don't know if Nagini has any venom. But I was like, maybe if the snake can like bite the Horcrux, it'll die. But I was very shocked when they escaped, actually.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a quick escape.
Yeah, seriously. Although
thank you to Hermione.
They didn't escape without any casualties. Unfortunately, Harry's wand is now destroyed. Yeah. Which is a little devastating. Well, Harry's wand has essentially been the thing that's been protecting him for this entire time. So when they were on the run in the Seven Potters chapter, his wand acted of its own accord and saved Harry in that whole situation. Otherwise, Harry would have been dead. Yeah. What the heck chance do they have now? If Harry's wand is destroyed and they're on looking for Horcruxes, how the heck are they going to defeat Voldemort?
I feel like Dumbledore was kind of preparing Harry for that, though, of always saying, "Oh, you're a good wizard. Like it's not about
boosting confidence."
The wand. I feel like it's gonna be fine without the wand. I don't think the twin wands is like that big of a deal.
Okay.
I don't know. It probably is like the biggest deal.
But his Hermione's wand isn't even working well for him. It feels really foreign in his hand.
So Voldemort's wand, what happened to that one?
Voldemort still has his wand. but he was using it there. But Voldemort is on the search as you were looking for the Elder Wand.
The Grigorovich one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Harry has to go find that first.
So
race.
Who do you think is going to find that wand first?
I don't know.
Give me the possible scenarios if
possible scenarios.
Yeah, give me every possible scenario.
Voldemort finds it first.
All right, if Voldemort finds it first,
Harry
what happens? Because if Voldemort finds it first and Harry's fighting with Hermione's wand, he doesn't stand a chance.
Why?
Because if you're fighting with the most powerful wand and then Harry's fighting with a wand that's literally Hermione's wand, that's foreign to him, that has
Harry
no
Potter.
relationship to him. Yeah, it's Harry Potter, but I don't care. Like if you're, I don't know. Yeah, the tool doesn't matter so much, but
it's
like
not all
it
about
does.
Wand work.
Oh wow! Okay, all right.
I feel like if Voldemort gets the wand, the Elder Wand's like not gonna curse Harry, and he's gonna be like safe.
Why?
I don't know, because there's love in the air.
Yeah, there's love in the air. You gotta back up your theories.
I have no theories. Okay, this is not my forte. I just sit and enjoy the ride. And if Harry gets it first, which I think Harry will get it first, because this is his story. This is his big scavenger hunt. If he gets it first, that's good, and I guess he can beat Voldemort.
Yeah. You are devastated at this one, though. Again, at least I am. Maybe not you, because you don't believe in the wand doing. It's not all about wand work.
I'm just optimistic.
Yeah, you're very optimistic. I'm a pessimist. This chapter sucks so much because literally, there's like his wand is busted, and what's he gonna do now?
I'm like, it's fine. It'll be okay. I was thinking like, instead of having like the Phoenix wand, that Fox would come back and then he could just literally have like Fox and like shoot spells out of like Fox's mouth. I don't know. I feel like Fox will come to his aid again.
Okay.
Maybe she'll like cry a tear on the wand and the wand will heal itself.
Interesting theory.
Yeah,
very interesting theory.
But Ron brings him another wand.
Yeah, like we'll get there. It's still not Harry's wand. So, but it's something. It's something a little bit better than what he's been using. Well, let's go to chapter 18, which is the life and lives of Albus Dumbledore. Do you have anything else in this in 17?
Just that I cried a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where?
When James was just hanging out with baby Harry. I was like, no, that's so sweet. That whole part, I was like, this is messed up. But that, and then no, I think that's it. That's it. Or can only pictures be in one place at one time? Like, why is only the photos in Rita's book? You can't have like a duplicate photo?
Yeah, right.
It's like a Polaroid.
Yeah, I know. They don't have iPhones, so they can't take a picture of it or scan it. I guess you just got to take the originals.
That was just a thought.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right, chapter 18, The Life and Lives of Albus Dumbledore. This one, they read the book. Or he goes through some of the book, like a little chapter of the book. And his trust in Albus Dumbledore is shattered. That's pretty much all that happens in this chapter.
It is. I'm kind of like confused but unfazed because I didn't really like Dumbledore that much.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, oh, okay, kind of makes sense. He's like not a great dude. But I feel like almost, I don't know what I need to say about Dumbledore. Like, all of the things still stand about he is manipulative, like he should have shared more.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, maybe he really didn't know what was happening either. Like, can we blame Dumbledore if Harry and Dumbledore are both in like the same level of just taking it step by step? And like, do you really have to tell people your past? Like, is that part of, does that make you untrustworthy just because you don't tell them everything about you?
I'm with you on that. That one seems extreme on Harry's part. Like, I feel like he has a immature understanding of like how, I don't know, like information works and privacy works.
Yeah.
Dumbledore has like a lot of students. Like, I mean, yes, Dumbledore did, love Harry to some extent. He was like had a deeper relationship with him than some of the other students, but he's still a student.
Yeah.
And like, if I teach, I'm not gonna like tell my students a lot of stuff in my personal life, much less stuff that I don't want people to like need to know about.
Yeah, or like if you know your principal, you're not gonna be like, oh, or like your principal's like, oh, you're a great student. I went to jail when I was a kid. Like,
agreed.
You're not gonna say that. It's just like past is past.
Even if Harry asks those questions, I'm not gonna really like say, okay, let me like lay it all out for you.
Yeah.
Because what does that really do for Harry?
Nothing.
Like, I don't think it does anything for him.
It's like interesting now that we know Grindelwald is like involved with the wand and like the other stuff, but there's really no reason.
There's like a boundary of what you're saying, like privacy, that I think I would live by if I was Dumbledore. But again, Harry's a student. You don't tell him all this stuff. Like, Dumbledore is very secret, so he just kept this kind of from everyone. Like, no one really knows this about him. So, I mean, one of the questions that I always have in this series is, did Dumbledore really have any real and true friends? So that one's a little trickier. Sometimes I think he almost prohibited himself from having friends. Like, he doesn't really have a good friend in the book. He has like acquaintances and he has students. So he's like kind of like sacrificing his life for other people, I guess, on this. But it's still a little strange.
Yeah.
But why didn't Dumbledore give them more information?
I kind of feel like having more information is a liability and like a risk to them.
Why?
If they're ever captured, or even if like the Order did something weird and like tried to get information out of them and like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, they're truly just like, I don't know, like, we're just trying to find Horcruxes. Like, I feel like most people could deduce Horcruxes at this point is what they're after. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes just being in the dark and just trusting that it's going to be okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. But I don't feel like Dumbledore knew that much more about the Horcruxes, honestly. Like, he probably did what he could, and then he died. And then I don't think he has, like, all these instructions written about, like, what the other ones are, because he already told them what he thinks they are.
Yeah, for sure.
And he kept being like, I'm not sure. Like, this might not be true. And we're just going to go off, like, me hoping that it's right. So I feel like he kept raising doubts in Harry's mind anyways before he died. So I feel like Dumbledore just kept getting, like, more and more unsure anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you lose, like, your support and the person that you do trust, because he's, like, a very... I don't know. Is stalwart a good word?
Yeah, I think
character.
It's kind of at least to Harry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to almost everyone in this book, except for you, no, except for like I think there's readers that you kind of don't have full trust in Dumbledore, but I think especially as a kid, like, he's that one character that seems untouchable, and that's why, again, I talk about this all the time. But the ability for this series to advance in maturity for every book, and like in the beginning, you're reading as an adult, and like you're seeing through some of the stuff that Dumbledore's doing, you're being like, that's a little shady. Like, he shouldn't be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. And we see that through every single character. But as a kid, if you're reading Dumbledore, you're like kind of in awe of him, and you're like, wow, this guy, he's like so good at magic and he can do all these kind of things, and like nothing really seems that terrible that he's doing. And then it slowly gets worn down. He starts to make like one or two maybe little errors or mistakes. And then especially in this book, you're like, okay, so this person that I loved, that I thought was super trustworthy, that I think was like an incredible wizard, isn't really everything that it's chalked up to be. And I feel like that's very true for adulthood. Even like of your parents, you kind of start to realize your parents aren't perfect. And you're like, oh, my parents are human beings and they still made mistakes. And you're realizing that Dumbledore did, and all these other people in these books, they're all riddled with their own errors and issues. And, like Lupin's like a messed up dude. You know, Tonks has her issues. And Dumbledore, who this person that you thought was great, has his issues too. Not that you personally thought was great.
I just don't feel like I get attached to like people like that. So I don't know if there would be like, I would read any book and be like, oh, I love this person. Like it's just a book. Like I'm not like.
Okay, yeah. But has there ever been a character that you've like truly loved in like a book that you're like?
Not that it like impacts my life. I don't know. I would really have to sit and think about this. Maybe I'll revisit this question. I love like learning from other characters. Like that's why I read, is like so I can understand people. But like for me to like actually personally feel something, that takes a lot. So that's why like I love reading weird stories about people, because then I'm like I can at least like understand in like a knowledge way what's going on. But yeah, like there's some characters that I've read that it's just like I think about them a lot, and I don't know, it just like follows you about your daily life.
Yeah.
Or it helps you grow through something. But
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not like when Dumbledore died, I was like distraught. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I'm just like, okay, it's just a book, you know? Like I love it, but I'm just like a little detached from
I think that's healthy.
Everything.
Because at the end of the day, this is fiction. It's like escapism. It's, you know, it shouldn't be, it's an integral part of your life, because like this helps you, this gives you instruction on how to live. Like one of my favorite descriptions of what like fiction and what writing does for us is like it's instructions on how we live our lives. So if like you're reading it and you're becoming super attached to characters, or like that is your life, I feel like that can be a little unhealthy. Mm-hmm. But if this thing is teaching you then how to live and like live a better life and live as a better human, then I feel like that's really the purpose of good literature.
Didn't the
instruction on
Professor Sprout actress just like say something like, it's so weird that everybody still likes Harry Potter?
Yeah, everyone was up in arms about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of the reason why like this personality trait of mine is like the whole Harry hug situation the other day, where people were like, that's insane that she thinks like Harry hugging Mrs. Weasley is like not real. But like I just feel like in my mind that's something that like I don't understand necessarily. So it's just like I'm projecting that into how I'm viewing the book.
Exactly, yeah.
So sorry, everyone.
And that's why I think, again, this is the podcast. You read it with other people because other people see different things. So that's why it's fun. Like I love book clubs just in general, because you read a book with other people and they read it differently than you. They read the characters differently than you. They have different backgrounds than you. So it's just fun and enjoyable to like talk about these characters that like I love certain characters. They're not like, you know, I'm not thinking about them all the time. Like it's like a good movie. Like I'll think about those characters for a little bit. For like a week after, I'll be like, oh man, like that was a great person. I want, like, you know, want to read another book like with a character like that in it. But you know, you move on from that kind of stuff. You're not like lingering on those characters. But I love just hearing what other people think about certain people. Like again, one of my favorite books ever was the Poisonwood Bible, and reading that in book club and realizing that people did not like some of the same characters that I liked was devastating for me. I was like, you jerks! Hannah's the best. I love her.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But in this chapter, you learn how Grindelwald did something to get him expelled from Durmstrang.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Didn't he like try to murder somebody? A muggle?
I don't know. I don't think it has anything in the chapter about that.
What?
I think he does something after that.
Maybe that's what Rita said in her article.
So afterward, it says there was like a brawl that happened at the funeral, and like he tried. They don't know.
Oh wait,
which one killed Ariana?
Grindelwald got expelled.
Yeah, from Durmstrang. Which is like, you know, they're not the dark arts school, but they teach dark arts rather than defense against the dark arts. So this is another line, and I want to talk about Dumbledore in terms of this one, but it says this dreadful coffin-sized brawl, known only to those few who attended Ariana Dumbledore's funeral, raises several questions. Why exactly did Aberforth Dumbledore blame Albus for his sister's death? Was it, as Batty pretends, a mere effusion of grief, or could there have been some more concrete reason for his fury? Grindelwald expelled from Durmstrang for near fatal attacks upon fellow students. There you go. Fled the country hours after the girl's death. And Albus, out of shame or fear, never saw him again, not until forced to do so by the pleas of the wizarding world.
I feel like Grindelwald killed her. But that seems like so obvious that it's wrong. Because he's like, oh, somebody dies, flee the country. It's like, okay, are you the murderer?
I think there's at one point it doesn't really matter who murdered her out of the three of them. They would still all do the same things that they're doing. Like, we don't know anything about Aberforth. So we don't know. He's like going off, shacking with goats. A little weird stuff going on with Aberforth. But Albus would still blame himself for everything. Even if he wasn't the one that was the murderer, even if he knew that for sure, I think he would still blame himself. And Grindelwald didn't really care. He was like, off doing his own thing. You don't really know what's going on there, but how about this question?
No, either Grindelwald killed the whatever her name is.
Ariana?
Yes. Or Grindelwald and Dumbledore were like fighting with each other, and then she got hit with some like one-off misfire spell.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were both like there when she died.
Yeah, for sure.
Or they like tested something on her, like dark magic, and then she died.
So revisiting something that Dumbledore talked about in the first book when he was talking about the Mirror of Erised, and he said he saw himself holding up a pair of thick woolen socks. What did he really see in the Mirror of Erised?
I don't know. I don't have answers to this. You just tell me what he saw.
We don't know. We will never know. This is just all theory.
Didn't I say like him defeating Voldemort?
Yeah, I think so. I think something like that.
I still stand by that.
I like it.
What does his deepest desire?
What do you
maybe
think?
like erasing his past.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Honestly.
you'd see that in the mirror, but time turner, Dumbledore using a time turner.
I like it.
In the mirror, going back.
That'd be a good little spin-off series. And then why is Harry so ticked off at like learning all this information?
I think just it pertains to him and like his childhood, but then also his future. And then Dumbledore was pretty close with him, and it's like people thought Harry was Dumbledore's favorite, so then to have all of this come out where it's like, oh, I actually didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
That's pretty painful for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely changes the relationship. This is like a low point for Harry, where he realizes his wand's broke, and then not only that, he really doesn't know what the heck he's doing. And Dumbledore didn't give him any information, not about himself or about like really how to find the Horcruxes. So he's pretty ticked off here.
Is the greater good the thing that you said is like noble to seek after or something?
Nope.
Really? Okay. That was my only guess.
I would never say that. The greater good. We never want to fight for the greater good. That's a Grindelwald thing.
You don't think the greater good is good?
No, I do. But I think it's used pretty poorly most of the time. Grindelwald's using it to achieve whatever aims he wants to do. Anybody could say the greater good, and they could justify whatever their actions are.
Yeah.
So actually, most of the time, I don't think the greater good is really the greater good.
Also, the good is subjective.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you on that actually.
That was easy. Chapter 19, the Silver Doe. An all-time good chapter.
It's his mommy, I think.
How?
Because it's a... Wait, isn't a stag like a deer?
A stag is a male deer.
Yeah, so
Stag
then...
could be a bunch of different things. Like I think a male elk maybe too. But it's a male deer, yeah.
So then the female deer is...
A doe.
The doe.
So if it's his mom, then how the heck is his mom casting a Patronus? Is this just deeper magic that we've never seen before?
It must be like programmed into the forest by Dumbledore. Like when Harry senses Um, or like when the forest senses Harry's presence, that this
This is a
deer.
random forest that they're in that has no
The sword is there
meaning. Yeah, but how the heck did the sword get there?
because Dumbledore hid it there.
Dumbledore's hiding a sword in a random
In
wood,
a
hoping
little
that Harry and Hermione
shallow
will come across
pond.
it.
Yeah, he did. In ancient magic.
How?
I don't know. I'm just trying to work it out. But I think there's like some magic that you sense that they're there, and then the dough like comes out, so I don't really feel like it's necessarily cast by a person. I think it's more of like a you sense that the Harry's near, or you sense like the sword. I don't know. Um yeah, but I don't think like his mom is just there casting it. I think it's like programmed in or something, you know.
Um, there was a small little like sentence in this that talks about how there was like a rustle in the woods and he wasn't sure if it was like just his own imagination or if it was a person back there like watching him. Let's say that that's a person watching him.
Where at the pond?
Yeah. Who is that? Is that just Ron?
Ronald Weasley.
Okay.
Or an
answer.
elf.
But again, you cannot cast it. If Dumbledore is doing this, you cannot cast a Patronus other than what the form that yours takes. So Dumbledore cannot cast a doe Patronus. So how the heck is the doe Patronus getting in the woods? Did he bottle up a doe Patronus and then unleash it? Because you're saying Dumbledore is a mastermind behind all this.
It's like in the same bank of your 10 spells that your mom left you. Because, yeah, the one thing with the magnetic wand.
Okay.
There's like a little storage of spells that she left. Okay. I don't know. How am I supposed to know this? There's no way.
Well, there's a way.
Well, not for the stupid people of the world.
You're not. You're brilliant. Come on.
No, I'm literally an idiot. I don't know. Maybe I should reread this. Read between the lines.
You'd love going in the cold water, though, wouldn't you? A little polar plunge.
I was literally on my little pool floaty reading this. I was like, haha, sucker. But no, I was like, come on. This is such an overreaction.
Really?
A little polar plunge.
I would be Harry. I would be going in like an inch an hour, like slowly descending.
Just gotta dive in there.
No way.
People do that all the time. Cold showers. I had a thought. Let me find it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you kind of like, I feel like prepared me for this, but This is like the first sentence of the chapter I really like. The sun was coming up. The pure colorless vastness of the sky stretched over him, indifferent to him and his suffering. Harry sat down in the tent entrance and took a deep breath of clean air. Simply to be alive, to watch the sun rise over the sparkling snowy hillside ought to have been the greatest treasure on earth, yet he could not appreciate it. His senses had been spiked by the calamity of losing his wand. He looked out over the valley blanketed in snow, distant church bells chiming through the glittering silence. But like, I feel like that's gonna be a callback to like Harry wanting to die later and not appreciating the goodness of life.
Okay, yeah.
Because you kind of said that like he's gonna get really messed up in the head later and kind of I don't know if that was just like the grave scene of him like
that was one of them
wanting to join his parents, but. Yeah, I read that and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like one of those moments, a moment that's gonna come is like him gonna want to die. But
the graveyard scene is one of those where like it's like a little like Harry sitting there, and you've never really gotten this before. I mean, like at Sirius's death, he wanted to die as well, but it was different. He kind of wanted Sirius back, so it was a little different than this. For this one, he's at his parents' grave and he wishes he was there with them. So like Harry is like. It's weird to say, but like longing to be in the grave with them.
Yeah, it's different from like being suicidal.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
because you're not trying to like actually do anything.
Yeah,
you just
for sure.
are like longing to be gone.
Yeah, just it's like longing to be with the people that you love.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of these lines again, she is a phenomenal like sentence writer. Some of these are just packed with meaning. But Harry's like, again, his instinct is ridiculous. Like he's following this thing.
The dough.
Yeah, it's like it told him this wasn't dark magic. He set off in pursuit. Like maybe he should go, wake up Hermione.
Did he not feel that way with Bathilda? Like
Yeah,
he was
right?
like, "This
Agreed.
is my destiny."
Agreed.
Bathilda.
Harry is like an absolute idiot in these chapters.
Yeah.
But it works out for him.
I was so right about the Patronus coming and Ron rejoining him.
Yeah.
I was like, good. My one memory is like working out. I knew that was right.
How did Ron get back? He talks about this, but
his deluminator is like a radio.
Yeah.
And then it's like a blue orb that absorbs into
it. Then he just evaporates and it takes him right to the place he needs to go.
And I'm like I'm reading that, like, how am I ever supposed to guess that? Like the deluminator, like there's no way. Unless you're just guessing random stuff.
There was, I know, that one, again, for half the stuff in Harry Potter, you can't really come up with some guesses for stuff. Like the deluminator, I think what did what's his face say? This is the only hint of what the Illuminator actually does. To Ronald Bilious Weasley, I leave my Deluminator in the hope that he will remember me when he uses it. So actually, it's no hint at all. I thought he was going to be like
let it guide you.
Yeah, let it guide you when all the like Lord of the Rings, when all other lights go out.
Yeah. The
beacon. Yeah, it's like no hint at all what this thing does. So it would have been remarkable if you guessed what that thing did. There's no chance anybody can really guess what that does.
Yeah, I totally saw the blue orb coming.
Were you shocked by the return though? Did you see it coming in this chapter? When you were reading it, we were like, oh, this is the chapter Ron comes back.
Yeah, I was like, this is all coming together.
Yeah.
But the entirety of the Horcrux getting destroyed, that was full first time reader mode. I was like, what in the world? They're like rising up out of the locket. I had no recollection of that whatsoever. So that was kind of exciting.
That's great, yeah.
But it was so weird. Like, Ron really thought that Harry and Hermione were...
I know, shacking up together.
I don't know, yeah.
I mean, it's like his insecurity. It's playing out his insecurity, which is what the Horcrux does too.
Is that why you asked me what the fears were?
Yeah. Because Ron's greatest fear is probably right now not getting with Hermione. Or like Hermione picking Harry over him. Even though it's like an illegitimate fear, and Ron is like stupid for thinking that, it's like his own fear. So like, he can have his own fears.
He can have his own fears.
Yeah, he can have his own fears. Like, it's his insecurities. So it's not like real, but it's like things that are playing in his mind that he's petrified of happening.
That's also kind of made me a little annoyed when like I knew nothing was going to happen between Harry and Hermione.
Yeah.
But I feel like she was just like egging it on and being like, Hermione touched Harry.
Yeah.
Or like they walked arm in arm. And I was like, stop. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop making it weird. And then Harry was like, she's my sister. Like, it's not anything. But
you never do. Never look at her like that.
That was one of my favorite Hermione scenes ever, though, of her just like punching Ron and like being completely crazy, like screaming at them. I feel like because she was finally like passionate about something.
She goes, you come back after weeks, and you think it's all going to be all right if you just say sorry? Well, what else can I say? Ron shouted. And Harry was glad that Ron was fighting back. Oh, I don't know, yelled Hermione with awful sarcasm. Rack your brains, Ron. That should only take a couple of seconds. And then she goes, yeah, said Ron. Could have been worse. Remember those birds she set on me? I still haven't ruled it out, came Hermione's muffled voice from beneath their blankets. But Harry saw Ron smiling slightly as he pulled his maroon pajamas out of his rucksack.
He loves her.
I know, he loves her. They're like an old married couple.
And it felt like they were going to kiss when she was like, her eyes were looking up at him and her mouth was slightly open. And there was like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It's like, nice, Hermione. Yeah. You just do what you want to do.
I like that she is a little more aggressive here.
Yeah.
This was the line I was talking about before, where it says, Ron says, I did think I saw something move over there, but I was running to the pool at the same time because you'd gone in and you hadn't come up. So I wasn't going to make a detour to, hey, Harry was already hurrying to the place where Ron had indicated. The two oaks grew close together. There was a gap only of a few inches between the trunks at eye level, an ideal place to see, but not be seen.
I didn't realize that Ron saw it too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling a house elf. I'm calling Dobby.
Ooh.
I think. Because then Dobby's going to die soon. So he has to die like some point. I think Dobby's there or like a goblin. Who else would even be there?
Because a goblin's
what
a
if
good
it's
guess.
like a giant? What if it's Grop?
That's a stretch. I'll say a goblin's a better guess than a Grop.
There was a troll man out there. That's how Ron got the sword. Oh my gosh. The
wand?
Yeah.
A troll? He had brains like a troll. He wasn't a troll.
Oh, I thought he was like a half troll.
Ron says he might have been half troll, but I think this Ron just insulting the guy because he's so dim-witted.
Well, me too.
He could have literally been half troll, and maybe I've been reading it the whole time wrong.
I don't know.
That's another weird half breed. Half troll, half human.
That I don't see happening.
Yeah, me either.
You'd have to have really bad taste. Maybe like a giant troll.
Yeah, there you go. Could be.
What else could be combined?
Centaur troll? No way. Centaurs are too high up.
I don't think centaurs are doing it with anybody.
Centaurs are not interbreeding. They're only with themselves. Also, I saw someone. Whoa.
Bless you.
Moose.
Bless you.
Bless you, buddy. I saw someone on he was streaming and someone was like, people were coming up with like weird conundrums that that exist in like mythology. Someone said, it always bothers me that centaurs have 2 rib cages. And the guy pulled out like a little blank sheet of paper and just did this, like did a box and did another box and did some like ribs on one and ribs on the other, and he goes, I think he said like, that's gonna annoy me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, is there spine like one big spine, or does it go straight down? 2 spines?
Like a fish little spine, or is it like they have 1 rib cage and then another 1 rib cage?
I think like who are mer people breeding with? They would for sure.
All manner of sea creatures, probably all sorts of half breed, of weird mer people in the sea.
I feel like low-key a goblin and a mermaid.
That's how.
And they could have like the underwater treasure, and
honestly,
they could like guard that.
Yeah. A Grindylow they're like little water demons. And that is probably like a goblin and a mermaid getting together, and they produced a Grindylow. And then they're just living.
What about like a house elf and a Grindylow?
Ooh, dang.
I need to see all of the species, and then I can match make all of them.
I think you would actually love, when you finish the series, you should read Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Okay. I feel like that would be up your alley. Because it's literally all the creatures. I think I explained this one to you, right? Oh no, I can't.
You've mentioned it like so many times that I feel like I understand what it's about.
It's just like an encyclopedia and a dictionary of all the different animals in the magical world.
That sounds awesome.
It's incredible. And then he like rates, the guy who writes it rates them on a scale of 1 single X to triple or to 5 times X to see how dangerous they are. And so you see how like dangerous all these different creatures are, and like he talks about like the phoenix and how no one's really been ever able to tame one, but like there's a few, you know.
So that's like when I'm looking online at the whatever the wizard thing is called. That's like the Fantastic Beasts, all combining all of that information into a book.
Yep.
Okay. I haven't like done research on anything in a while. I used to like literally be up at night like looking at stuff, and then I'll like scroll past the pictures really fast because I didn't want to spoil anything. I'll
give you the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. You can thumb through that later. There's no spoilers in that one, so should be all right. It's a good one. It's kind of a fun. And people have done like illustrated versions of that. There's one, I forgot who did it, but someone did a really, really beautiful illustrated version of that where they like drew in the creatures, and it's like cool. Very, very cool. But yeah. Anything else in this chapter?
I really like this line from Harry. When I forget what Hermione says, or I'm not going to read what Hermione says, but he goes, "I thought you'd say that," said Harry. He did not want to let his anger spill out at her, but it was hard to keep his voice steady. I thought you'd say they were young. They were the same age as we are now. And here we are, risking our lives to fight the dark arts. And there he was in a huddle with his new best friend, plotting their rise to power over the Muggles. And then he got up and walked away. But yeah, like that's kind of, I feel like him taking charge again and like more just like stepping into his role is like he knows what he has to do, and he's like actually his heart's in it now.
Yeah.
And that's like what Dumbledore was saying. It's like, wouldn't you have done this anyway if there was no prophecy?
Yeah, agreed.
So, and then for Dumbledore to be like doing the exact opposite thing at the same age, I don't know. It's like, I always felt like Dumbledore admired Harry. So I feel like in the light of seeing Dumbledore's past, maybe he's like, there's like a little bit of hope that Dumbledore feels when he's looking at Harry. Because he's like, he's doing all the good that I didn't do, or he's like working against all of like the bad that I put into the world, something like that.
I think that's a great point, because Dumbledore does seem to admire Harry in certain ways, and like this might be the reason for it, because Dumbledore didn't live the life that Harry did. He had, I mean, like he didn't have an easy life growing up, but like he wasn't choosing, you know, great things. And Harry is over here, doesn't have anything in life, has his friends, and he's out there like actively fighting and like really choosing good. So yeah, that's a great point.
Another thing was, okay, he just snuggles me. Isn't that so cute? How there's the eyeball in the locket.
Yeah.
That I was like totally shocked by.
Yeah.
And then I was like, eyes are the windows to the soul. And I was like, maybe the eye is something to do with the soul. And then I was like, I don't know if there's just other like soul tie type of situations in life. Because like eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of anything else. But the locket's like the only one that's...
Eyes play a big part in this. There was
Holding.
even something that happened in Ron's eyes. It says Ron looked toward him, and Harry thought he saw a trace of scarlet in his eyes.
Yeah. And the eyes in the locket are the brown eyes, the normal eyes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was really freaky to me. How did they get in there? Like, did he gouge him out? Or like... Or like, is that his... Oh, did he have to like kill Tom Riddle? Was like Tom Riddle the murderer for that Horcrux? And then like Tom Riddle's like eyes are in the locket, and then he became Voldemort?
Tom Riddle isn't his father, Tom Riddle?
I don't know.
Tom Riddle is Voldemort.
But he's like so subhuman at this point. Because that's when you kept bringing up like Tom Riddle and Voldemort could exist together.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
In some capacity.
But it would be like two... yeah, that would be really weird.
So he never had to kill Tom Riddle?
No,
he just like
it's kind
devolved
of like...
into...
Yeah. Have you seen Star Wars?
No.
Okay, we'll have to do a first time of that. But it's like one character's transition in that show is like from good and like pure person, like very innocent, and it's their slow de-evolution to a reprehensible, like evil person. And
Is
it's like
that
the person's
the
not
red
recognizable.
face person?
The what?
Is that the person with like the black and red face?
Black and red
Who's
face.
that?
Oh no, that's Darth Maul.
Uh-oh.
It's one of my favorite characters. I love Darth Maul. We'll have to do a first time watch of that. That's gonna be great.
That's not a book, right? That's
I know, it's
just
a movie. We can do a first time watch of that.
I'm down for that.
Sounds phenomenal.
The only Star Wars scene I've seen is when they're like in the thing and the walls are closing in.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's it.
Dude, I'm pumped. This is gonna be great. Do a lot of Star Wars with you.
What if we just watch movies for August and then start reading?
Yeah, I am so down for that, because I need more time to get the artwork for the podcast anyway. That's there's been a little hold up in that. I'm working with the studio right now, so
I'm eating all of your Scandinavian swimmers.
you can finish those. Those have just been sitting there for like a week, 2 weeks.
Are these the ones that I bought?
Yep.
Okay.
They're great. I don't eat them fast though, so you can knock them out.
They're quite large.
Anyway.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the Second Time Reader.
Bye.
See ya.